Hey guys, welcome back to the second episode of the podcast. Thanks for tuning in again. I'm really happy that some people actually enjoyed last week's episode and seem to really like the long format content. I think I'm going to stick with the podcast format a little longer. And I don't want to commit to one specific weekday to release it because I would like to be a little bit more flexible with the recording and release schedule, because sometimes things get in the way and I want to be a little bit more free with this, because this has actually been something I really disliked about creating a YouTube video every day. It's not that I don't have the ideas or plans for certain videos, but it's sometimes really hard to get all the shooting done between working full time. So yeah, this is the plan. I'm also really sorry that the podcast is still not available on Apple Podcasts. It seems to just take a little longer for Apple to approve new podcasts. This, at least what I read, is the normal procedure. So yeah, I will update you as soon as the podcast is available on Apple Podcasts too. But for now, you can listen to it or watch it on YouTube. You can listen to it on Spotify, and every other podcast platform. And also, some people suggested that I should have guests on the podcast, and that's something I already thought about, and I actually have the first guest like planned. We just need to find a date to record it. And he's also a YouTuber, but way more successful than I am. And I think this could be really interesting for both of us to sit down and talk about our experience on having a YouTube channel, on creating content, and what we both learned. And this could also have some real value for you too. But for this week's episode, you're going to have to stick with me only. But I really hope that we can have this guest podcast maybe done already for next week, but I don't want to talk too much about it. So let's just see how everything works out. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about how I actually built up a freelance business in just 1 year. Because as you guys probably know from the last podcast, I dropped out of film school actually around 12 months ago. And that's been kind of the starting point for my, let's say, real freelance career. That's been the point where I started to take this seriously as some kind of career. And there's been some key parts and thoughts that kind of got me to where I am right now, which is being a full-time video content creator and filmmaker. So one of the main things I learned during the last 12 months is that if you want to start a business, and that can be a creative business or any business in general, if you want to be successful with what you're doing, you have to be willing to put in the work. Because when I talked about my last 12 months and what I accomplished with other people recently, a lot of them actually said things like that they wished they could do something similar and they would like to turn their passion into a business. but they don't know where to start. And this is one of the main things that separates, let's say, people who work a regular, traditional 9-to-5 job and people like me who work as freelancers and entrepreneurs. And this is that you have to be willing to put in the work. You cannot just sit down and wait until clients approach you or anything happens on its own. You have to go out and put yourself out there and make yourself available for success. What that means is, for instance, what I did was when I dropped out of film school and I decided that I wanted to become a filmmaker or video content creator on my own, I really committed to the YouTube channel because for me, first, this was something that drove me to create something every week, which also meant that I was really committed to work with my equipment and improve my skills every week, and that's really important. But also, this made me visible to other people. Because by putting my work out there, people were actually able to find me. Because not only did I put all the stuff on YouTube, of course I shared it with my friends and people I'm connected to. And of course, all my first clients found me through friends and family. So if you want to start a business like that, just start anywhere. You cannot wait for the right moment because this moment will probably never come. You have to create the moment yourself. If you want to be a photographer, just go out and shoot, and the same goes if you want to be a filmmaker. Just create something and put it out there for people to find you and to find your work. Because otherwise, how should anyone know about what you're doing? Another thing is that you really have to be willing to hustle. And I don't mean this in a negative way, actually, but let's be realistic. If you decide to make your passion a full-time career, this won't happen overnight. And this also won't happen within a few weeks. It will take probably months, maybe years to get to the point where you can live from what you're doing. And the hardest time is definitely the time of the transition. Like for me, this meant that for the last 12 months, I worked part-time in fashion retail. And I worked there for around 20 to 30 hours a week. And the other time I created one YouTube video every week and I worked on client projects. And of course, over time, the client projects got more and more. And there were definitely times when it's been really hard to get all of this done because like working 20 to 30 hours a week in retail means like working 3 to 4 days. Plus a YouTube video takes around a day to create and to cut and make it publishable. And then having maybe one client every week or every 2 weeks for another 2 to 3 days, this adds up to way more than a 40-hour work week. And this is something you have to keep in mind if you want to get to a full-time career. That means that at some point in this transition phase, you will work probably almost 2 full-time jobs at once. And there will be times when you will think, I don't want to do this anymore. But of course, you can handle it for a certain amount of time. But that's of course also not something you want to do for longer than a few days or weeks, actually. And that's also a very important thing, that you have to know, or you have to feel when to make the next step. Like when you have a part-time job or even a full-time job, which guarantees your regular income, and on the side you try to build up your freelance career. You have to find this sweet spot when to make the transition to being a full-time creator or whatever you want to be. And that's actually not that easy, but from my experience, I think if the time comes, you will know. And be aware that there will definitely be some kind of drop, because for a long time you probably worked almost 2 jobs at once. And of course, you also had the money of 2 jobs. But then one job is going to be gone. And of course, the money is going to be gone. So definitely make sure to be aware of this drop that's going to happen. Otherwise, this is probably one thing that could take you back into a traditional 9-to-5 job again. And I already talked about this in the last episode, but I've been really lucky with my situation right now, because I'm not really a full-time freelance creator. I still have a part-time job, but in this part-time job, I work for one of my former clients just for 20 hours a week fixed, and they guarantee me to bring in the work for like 20 hours a week. I get the money for that, and the rest of the week I am like free to create other stuff. So in general, I still do what I love the entire time. And that's really great. I've been out of retail for 5 weeks now, so around 1 entire month. And I talked about this with a friend yesterday, having this freedom to decide when to work and what to do and how to organize your time and your energy. This is just such a good feeling. And if you've never been in a situation like that, or you worked for yourself, then you cannot imagine how good this feels. Like actually saying, today I want to have a day off, and going out with your buddy and riding electric longboards. This is just an amazing feeling. And now if I look back on the last 12 months and all the struggle I went through to get this freelance career going, I can say that it's definitely worth it. It's been hard sometimes, and I think most people underestimate how much work you have to put into some career like this. Like especially people who only know the traditional job path, like working in retail or working a regular 9-to-5 office job. They can't imagine how it feels to have this kind of pressure you have when you're working for yourself. Like working on freelance projects on your own, where all the responsibilities are on you, and there's no one to rely on, and no one who will take your hand and guide you through this, but suddenly you find yourself in the position that you have to do it all on your own. And this can be really overwhelming at first, definitely. Like the first few projects, when something went the wrong way, that didn't feel good. And sometimes I wasn't really sure whether I could handle all these responsibilities. But if you really want to get this going, you just have to go through this phase and you will get used to it. You will learn how to deal with clients, how to handle situations when something goes wrong. Like last week, I've been on the road with a band to shoot some behind the scenes for a music video. And we had a real plan of what I wanted to shoot, but it all went down. Nothing went according to plan. Everything went wrong. But I cut the video together the last few days, and in the end, nevertheless, it turned out really good and the client's really happy. So you just need to go through these times of self-doubt and exhausting times, and yeah, it's all learning by doing. But as I said, looking back at the last 12 months, I think I wouldn't have done anything different. But as I said, if you are really willing to put in the work, then there's nothing that can stop you from anything. And that's the thing that makes or breaks every career you dream about. If you're willing to put in the work and to hustle for some time, you can do it. People always say they dream about having certain careers and work something different, do something that really fulfills them, but everything that's holding them back is their own fear and their own comfort. Like, people are really often unwilling to put themselves in discomfortable situations, like leaving your little comfort zone and leaving your traditional job. This seems scary at first. Like, having a regular income is a good thing. And of course, being a freelancer, no one can guarantee that you will have money the next month. But what I've really learned over the last few months is that if you keep working, it'll work out. Like, that's just how it goes. If you start getting clients and you keep working and people enjoy actually the experience to work with you, then more clients will come. They will pass you on to other people they know, and those people will turn into clients. That's just how it goes. And I had all those people tell me, like, yeah, but maybe a degree would make all of this a little bit more easier or more safe. But in the end, it doesn't. Everything that's really important is that you have to work your ass off, and you have to be a nice person and a really easy person, and you have to deliver. You have to put in the work, and you have to hustle. And that's actually all I want to talk about this week, because I feel that people often are just too scared to take a step into the unknown, or to just put in the work. Like, yeah, as I said, leaving your little comfort zone can be a really hard step to make on your own. But if you won't do it, nobody else can do it for you. Like, nobody owes you anything, and life doesn't owe you anything. If you want to change something and you're unhappy in your retail job, nobody stops you from leaving. But You have to have a plan. And if you have a plan, the plan alone won't take you anywhere. Like that's the thing. A lot of people have ideas, but the main thing is to execute them. Like that makes a successful person. Not the idea itself, that's nothing special, but to actually stand up and make a step forward and execute your idea and just say, I'll do this. That's what makes it. So keep this in mind if you want to start a creative business, any business. Just let nobody stop you, and especially don't let yourself hold you back from anything. Because especially today, everybody can accomplish like almost anything. So I hope you guys found this podcast a little bit interesting. I would love to hear some of your people's thought on topics you want to hear on the podcast in the future, what I should discuss with guests, what guests I could invite. I mean, they don't have to be from Germany. We could totally set up a Skype call and record the podcast like this. That's absolutely not a problem. So just let me know in the comments, and I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. And I hope to hear you guys or see you guys or whatever. I really have to come up with some kind of ending for this. Yeah, but for now, I hope to see you guys in the next one.